and there was one guy who was really, really lean, who was one of the first people I saw that morning, who was in the bathroom with me, and he was getting, painted up and everything with his massive trainer. And see, everyone had trainers, and I just had Tom. So they held us out there for like kind of a long time, because it's 9 people, and they moved us around, and like, hey, you can switch position with this guy, and switch with this guy, and give us this pose, and do this again, and so I tried to make sure everything was just real good, and so I went off stage, and I was like, yeah, I feel like that went well, and so that was the end of the pre-judging, basically. I think we might have had to wait for Kevin's, but afterwards Josh was like, we're all going to Red Robin, because there's like an hour or two in between pre-judging and the final show. So it's like, we're all going to Red Robin. It's like, all right, so let's go. So we got in their car and went to Red Robin, which doesn't exist above Maryland, apparently. And it's like the greatest burger place I've ever seen in my life. And since Kevin had, been doing really well in bodybuilding, and he won Mr. Natural Philadelphia a couple years ago, I was like asking him what I should do in terms of like the food. He's like, so just order whatever you want. And then I was like, so what about this, and he's like, just only eat like a couple fries. Like, don't eat the fries. Like, if you're drinking the water, just take little sips. Eat the whole burger, but discard some of the bun. Just basic little stuff. And damn, this burger was good. I wish I could have had the whole thing. It just sucked because I was so hungry, but I couldn't eat it all. Even at this point, you still had to exercise discipline in not just having it all. Even the water. I'd like some water right now. A lot. Funny thing, after this meal, a couple of things. After this meal, we went back, and I was like looking at myself, and actually I'll go back. In between, in between some of the shows, some of the classes, a woman came up to me, or like a figure competitor, and she told me how good I was looking, and I thought that was a real nice compliment. And she said, "But you're too light." And I was like, "Oh." She's like, my friend and I were down in the audience going like, "Yeah, but he looks like a snowman." So she was like, put on another layer or whatever. So we went and ate and stuff, and I came back, and after the meal, Tom and I put on another layer of the stuff, and I was looking at myself and flexing this muscle and that muscle. I was like, I look like even better now. Like, I was progressively looking better as the night went on. And I didn't have a posing routine, like, at all. And I just figured, what the hell? I'm just gonna like wing it. I don't really care. And some people would come out with these really like elaborate, posing routines where they come out with like the hat down and the one white glove, and there's like a Michael Jackson, like, but huge. So I was talking to this girl who was like right next to me in line, and she actually and just recently she like became pro, and I saw her on Facebook because she's like a mutual friend with someone, and I was like, I recognize her in that name, and I was like, wonder if she's that girl that I was talking to, because it was her first competition that day, and now she's like pro. And I was like, that's real cool. It was my turn to go up, and I like had a few ideas of like what I was going to show and this and that, and the guy doesn't play the music until like I'm right in the middle of the stage. I'm like, so we go out there without music playing, and I didn't even have I didn't bring music. I was just like, oh, whatever, just play something. I don't care. And then I posed and did my thing, and it was actually a really cool feeling because it's like people are clapping for you, and like every time you hit a pose, like, oh yeah, give me that. Oh god, can't get enough of that one. Give me that one again. But it's not like sleazy like Chippendale dancing or anything. It was like something to be proud of. They're like applauding you for being so good looking, and putting all this like hard work into your body and stuff. And then you walk off stage on the other side, and there's like 3 massive cakes waiting for you, and it's like congratulations competitors or something, and it's like, well, just eat all of the cake. And I'm really glad that I brought a toothbrush with me because like after eating all that sugar and stuff, your mouth is disgusting. But anyway, so having a cake, and Kevin's on the other side of the stage. He's like, "That was a pretty good posing routine, man." I was like, "Oh, cool! I just made it up." He's like, "Really?" All right. So we get off and go back in the audience, and then they call up the competitors to give the awards and stuff. And so what they do, they're like, well, the members of the, this class enter the stage and step on the stage, and then they show them, and then they're like, will they leave the stage, and then will numbers, 1, 4, 13, and 7 come back, and those are the ones who won. And so they'll come back or whatever. And so in the bodybuilding 101 one, so they did that, and I didn't think I was going to get anything on this one. And so they'll be like, will this number, and this number remain on the stage? And I was like, oh, yeah, all right, number 8. So I got 5th place. Somehow there's a trophy for 5th place. But, so I got that one, and I was like, alright. And here's what's funny. The guy who was in 4th place, he was either in 4th or 3rd, but I think he was in 4th, was the kid who was like 16, I think. And he was a little fat. But he beat me by 1 or 2 places in this one, right? He was the junior. He was one of the 3 juniors in the junior class. So the junior class comes out, and by this point it's like 8 o'clock, mind you. So the thing is a day long. So the juniors come out, and then there's only 3 of us, so everyone wins. But I got 2nd place, and I beat that kid, which is funny. But if you think about Bodybuilding 101, I was unpumped completely. And then I was pumped up in the next one. And he and I kind of talked about it backstage. And I was like, that's what you get. Fool me once, shame on me. So the last one that I was in came out. And, the novice lightweight. And so the 9 guys go out there, and they come off, and the people are told to remain, and I'm one of them, and I'm like, yeah. This was like the legit class that I was in. I'm kind of upset that I didn't do the open, because I tried to do the classes that I did plus the open, but you couldn't do the Bodybuilding 101 and the open together. And the promoter like emailed me. She's like, you can't do both. I was like, give me the 101 then. Which I shouldn't have done, because the monster, the black kid who was like 17, the monster, he did the 101, not the open. So, oh well. But it's kind of funny that he didn't, because he would have like won. I was actually a little upset about the 2nd place in the juniors, because Josh had kind of worked me up to think that I could have won, because he was telling me that the guy who did win, he like sucked for some reason. His posing was bad, or I don't even remember what his reasoning was, but I was like, you think I could win? And he's like, oh yeah. So I was like, maybe I got first. So I got second, which I think was for a couple of reasons. I think the guy was just bigger than me and leaner than me and darker than me, because he was really, really, really dark. I was like way more layers of black on him than me. So I was happy with that, and like so I had these 3 trophies, and I like brought them back to the seat with Tom and me. After those were the 3 classes that I'd been in, so I was like, no reason to stick around here. So then we're watching the end where Kevin's class, which was the open middleweight, I think, and he got second, and he was trying to get his pro card that night. So because he got second, didn't get a pro card. So he was really pissed off, and he just like left. So we didn't see him again. So then they had, once they declared the winners of each of those individual classes, each of the winners has like a pose off right there for who wins of them. And so there was the little guy from my class who was, I think, 155 at that time, who was very, very lean, like perfectly lean. And then the open... Oh, no. It was that little guy, because it was the novice lightweight versus the novice heavyweight or middleweight or whatever. And that guy was big. He looked really good, and he was pretty lean, but he wasn't as lean. So they both looked really good, but as soon as the judges told them to like flex their hamstrings, and this was a pose that you've never even seen this before. It's when they turn around and they what they do, they have you turn around, get down on one leg, and like do this with your hamstring, like flexing your at your knee, and watching the hamstring flex and unflex. And as soon as he did that, it was like, all right, this guy wins, because you couldn't really see the other guys nearly as well. And then there was the open pose down with the 3 guys, because it was like lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight. And the heavyweight guy had been in Iraq for a while, and he was like, I wish I knew his weight, but something tells me he was like 212 or something. But that's ridiculous. I can't imagine him being 212. But my man was big, and his tan was perfect, and his proportions were like perfect, so they were like, how they do, they pose it and they get in front of each other, and like, and this guy, he had the kind of air about him that like he would just let them do their thing, and then he would just be like, put his foot down and draw all the attention to himself. And every time he would turn around so that his back faced the audience, and he would slam his leg down, and then he would be like, no. He would slam it down again, and then like wiggle his toe drive his toe into the ground, and then flex his hamstring, and then he would turn around, and then he would go to like he'd do like an ab and thigh and flex his quad, but his quad wouldn't flex, and he'd be